Okay. So this drop-in session is meant to really introduce parents of children with autism preventative strategies that can help with some of the behaviors that are happening at home right now. We're living trying times right now, and we understand that routines are being altered tremendously to accommodate everyone's role in the family. Parents are working from home as well as tending to their children, and it's making things quite challenging. I encourage you to reach out to your card clinician if you're registered with us or register to get free consultation services. I also encourage you to visit our website and look for our many resources available during this time of COVID-19. So just to introduce myself, my name is Cecilia Alvarez-Tabio, and I am a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst. I've been working with children with autism for more than 10 years and with their families. More specifically, not only do I help families in my role as card clinician, but I also have been providing parents and caregiver training and coaching on strategies to manage problem behaviors and encourage new skills. I want you to understand that what you'll learn today may be things that you're already doing, or it may be all new. The important thing to understand is that these strategies are not meant to be the one and only solution to any behavior problem happening with your child. On the contrary, it is one of the many approaches that offer solutions to managing problem behaviors. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Before I begin, to talk a little bit more about the strategies, I wanted to let you know. Hang on, my cursor was not working. I wanted to let you know that I'll be asking you to complete a survey that's going to help us as an organization to evaluate our programming that has been graciously made possible by the Children's Trust. I encourage you to complete. It's only 4 questions, and it's at the end of the presentation. So, all behavior intervention plans incorporate 3 things. 1, understanding the function of a particular behavior, like the target behavior. We call that a functional assessment. Once we know the function of a behavior, we can incorporate consequences like reinforcement, plan ignoring, to name a few. 2 is implementing preventive strategies, which is what we'll discuss today. And 3 is teaching a replacement behavior that will serve the same or similar function. I can also add that in order to promote independence, we also incorporate adding adaptive skills, which could involve daily living skills. Please understand that although we are going to have a questions and answer session at the end of this presentation, I won't be able to analyze your child's behavior by a simple question. It does matter the environment and what happens before and after a behavior in order to implement a particular strategy. So keep in mind that today we're just introducing strategies that you can do at home that can alleviate some of the behaviors that are occurring. Parents, my apologies. Parents naturally do many things to prevent problems from occurring in everyday life. Sometimes they use baby gates at the top of the stairs to prevent their children from falling down the stairs, and place safety locks on cabinets where they keep the household cleaners, just to avoid their child from having access to those poisonous liquids. Parents of children with autism may prevent problems in the community by not taking the child to settings that predictably have been difficult, such as restaurants, movies, or church. Other parents limit how long they stay at certain places. For example, parents may limit trips to the grocery store to a short list of items just to reduce the amount of time that you spend there. These forms of prevention are also called antecedent management strategies. Antecedent means prior to a behavior. It comes from the word ante, which if you speak Spanish, you know that it means before. Often we can devise prevention strategies by just looking at these antecedents to a problem behavior, just as we behavior analysts do when figuring out the function of a behavior. For example, if the functional assessment data shows that a common antecedent to headbanging is the vacuum being turned on, one antecedent prevention strategy might be to move the child to his bedroom while the parents vacuum the living room. Hang on. It is likely that you already do things to prevent behavior problems in your child. So as you listen to this presentation, you may want to write down some extra things that can help you even more. So the first strategy that I'll talk about is avoiding situations or people. I mentioned earlier how parents prevent problems by not taking their child to restaurants or shopping or church. Some families avoid places where their child might have to wait in line, like going to Disney or to any amusement park. Sometimes certain people are also antecedents for behavior problems. For example, a child might listen to his father, but give mom a harder time whenever she asks him to do something. Some children have difficulty playing appropriately with one particular child. So preventing, avoiding situations and people is something that you can always keep in mind to do, and to, add that to your notes as an idea to think about when being with your child or to avoid certain behaviors. The next one I wanted to talk about was controlling the environment. And what I wanted to also say that I didn't before I got into the prevention strategies is that I am going to name them and give a description about them, but then I'm going to show you some videos that are going to probably give you a better understanding of the use of how you could use these strategies. So controlling the environment, you already saw those pictures that I showed you earlier. It may include putting locks on cabinets or keeping the doors of your house locked on the inside, locking the room where the computer is, or keeping the iPad out of sight. Some teachers control their classroom environment by sitting children away from others who tend to set them off, or by using partitions that limit distractions. So think about any ways that you control the environment to prevent behaviors and add them to your notes. The next one I wanted to introduce and explain a little bit, it's doing things in small doses. As we talked about earlier, some parents find that their child can handle situations for short periods of time. So rather than avoid these situations altogether, the family can limit the time in certain settings. Some families avoid long car trips. Others don't stay at birthday parties or family gatherings for the entire time. Think of situations where you limit the amount of your child the amount of time that your child is there, or perhaps avoid it altogether. If you haven't thought of maybe limiting time in a place as an option, write it down in your notes as something to do maybe next time. The next one is responding to early signs of the problem. You guys are experts, parents are experts on their child's behavior and can tell when the child's behavior is winding up. Some parents may notice to look in their child's, there's a look in your child's eyes that that would give you a hint that the child's becoming more irritated, such as crying or talking loudly, or just those are signs. So when these signs occur, some parents find ways to assist the child in order to manage the behavior. If a child is showing early signs of agitation when he's asked to get dressed, the parent may provide extra assistance with dressing so that the child can complete the task more easily. Other parents may have the child leave an area to calm down before the behavior worsens. I've given some parents that idea after they report that their child, can handle birthday parties or, large crowds. If they start escalating or showing signs of agitation, then you may want to take the child to another room in order for him or her to calm down from that stimulation. Um, so something to think about. Addressing setting events. So what setting events is basically special types of antecedents that can affect how a child responds in certain situations. So common examples include being tired or hungry or feeling sick. Any of these is likely to affect how a child behaves at home, at school, or anywhere else, like during camp or wherever, whatever he's doing right now, if he's in a daycare or grandparents' house. So a child who usually reacts well to a teacher or to a parent may become uncharacteristically agitated or aggressive because he may be tired or sick, or so those are what setting events is. So that's something to think about. You can address it in different ways. So if you have a feeling that the child is hungry, you may want to, after you pick them up from school, you may want to have a snack on the way home from school, so that you can prevent things like that. So I'm going to start talking about things that are going to be very specific, and I'm going to get into more details in the next few slides. But the next strategy that I talk about is using visual or auditory cues. Visuals or auditory cues include pictures, written lists, or timers that can serve as a reminder of a pending transition or a certain activity in the daily routine. This is one of the strategies that parents often have, like an aha moment when mentioned. The use of these cues can prevent behavior problems and promote the child's independence, and also acquisition of daily living skills. Visual and auditory cues can help enhance your child's ability to process information about the sequence of events, which can actually provide a sense of predictability and promote the child's flexibility, which we know is sometimes difficult for children with a diagnosis of autism. Visual and auditory cues can be used to set up choices. Many of you have heard of using choice boards. It can be used to depict time passage and sequencing by, using timers, or some of you have seen first then boards, and step-by-step presentation of daily routines, like a visual schedule, or using social stories to explain visiting a doctor or going to Disney or going away on a trip. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this too in a few slides. For example, developing a set of pictures showing the steps of the morning routine can remind your child what needs to be done before going to school. This could avoid confusion and promote compliance. Setting a timer that signals the end of 20 minutes of computer time may be more effective than abruptly telling your child to turn off the computer. The use of visual schedules is really a tried and true approach that I'm going to discuss in more details in a few slides. Maybe, you currently use visuals or auditory cues, or maybe you stopped using them because you thought your child didn't need them anymore. So maybe this is something to consider and reintroduce for particular things. The next strategy that I want to talk about is changing how you ask or respond. And this could mean many things. Some children overreact when demands are set in a certain way, especially when a transition is involved, or if a child is told that he can't have something, or if he's told no. Just changing how the parent asks the child to do something can prevent an explosive response. For example, providing choices when making requests, or giving a child notice that he will need to stop what he's doing in 5 minutes, or these are commonly used strategies. If this is something that you feel can be useful with your child, then add it to your list. The next one, and this will be the second to last, and then I'll show you some videos. The next one is changing the order of events. And again, I'll talk more about this later when I talk about daily schedules and routines. This can be especially helpful for a child who has difficulty stopping an enjoyable activity when asked to comply with a demand. For example, a child might become aggressive when his mother asks him to turn off the iPad to get dressed, let's say for school or to do something else. This may be managed by having the child get dressed before being allowed to play on the iPad. And you'll see a video on this. The next one is establishing a routine or having a daily schedule. And this has to do with identifying a particular time of the day that is most difficult and arranging things to prevent problems. Again, this when I sit down with a parent and I, tell them about this, they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize that I could just change the order of things during the day, and it would fix a lot of my issues and my frustration." So this is one of the strategies that parents really like and implement a lot. So what I'm going to do now, without further ado, is just show you some videos. If my cursor moves. Okay, so these videos, what I'm going to do, these are challenging situations that are often faced by parents. I will show you the video first and then propose some strategies to how mom might have prevented the problem. So let's look at the videos first.
Come on, buddy. Got some errands to run. Come on, let's get your shoes and your coat on. Come on. Come on, let's go. Hey, come on. Listen to me, we gotta get going. Mommy's running late. Stop that, all right? Look, if I help you put your shoes on, will you put your coat on? Come on. Come on, Mommy will help you put your shoes on. Hey, come on, honey, I gotta go. I don't have time for this now. Sit up now. Sit up now. Come on. Come on. Come on. You get your coat on.
It's a bit rough. So this mom is struggling to get her child's coat on. And let's look at some of the strategies that we could use, or we could tell this mom, hey, listen, you could, change the order of events. And by that is we say first code and then TV, or change the time of the demand, or changing if you have a visual schedule or something structure, the child could just know that first this is what we do and then we watch TV. So just incorporating some structure where the child knows exactly what he needs to do. So changing how you ask or respond, giving a 5-minute warning. So those are just examples. And another thing is controlling the environment has to do with just keeping the TV off until the child puts the code on. So here's another video.
Oh, boy, look at this mess. Hey, come on, let's clean it up now, okay?
No.
Sweetie, we gotta clean it up now.
No.
Hey.
No.
Hey.
No.
We're gonna have dinner now.
No.
Mommy didn't make the mess.
No.
Clean up, please.
No.
Clean up the mess now. Hey. Let's go. Hey. Hey, listen to me. I want you to put the toilet.
So let's look at some of the strategies a mom could use. So she's abruptly and hastily telling her child to pick up his toys. The child refuses to comply, so she pushes the issue and the child's behavior escalates. Doesn't that sound familiar? So some of the things that you could do is, changing how you ask, use a different tone of voice for sure. Also using contingency, pick up the toy and then we can go outside if that could be an option, right? If you're using more structure like a visual schedule or something like that. Another thing that you can do as far as a visual prompt or a visual cue is using a timer for 5 minutes, for a 5-minute warning before having to pick up the toys. Changing the time of the demand. This is really key. Sometimes I tell my parents, you know, pick your battles. If you know that you're in a rush, don't tell your child to clean up if you know you have to go, because you know he's going to take a long time. So maybe what you could do is just say, we're going to go now. When we come back from wherever you're going, you're going to have to clean up. And then when you come back, you give the command again. So here's the last video, and then we'll talk some more about routines and daily schedules. And this video cracks me up, but let's see what you think.
Okay, bud, time for breakfast. I'm gonna have some Rice Krispies today.
No,
okay?
I want honeycombs.
No.
I want honeycombs.
No,
I want
you're having Rice Krispies
honeycombs
today.
I want honeycombs. I want honeycombs.
Stop it! I said you're having Rice
I want
Krispies.
honeycombs.
No,
I
not
want
today.
honeycombs.
You know, the mom selects a cereal type for the child, and the child protests. There's also something, she's like a ton of cereal boxes. So what the normal thing to do is, you know, first of all, control the environment. Don't, you know, limit the choices by putting some cereal boxes out of sight, right? Be strategic about that. The other one is changing how you ask. So offer choices. This is a great strategy to use, because the child feels like he's having a choice on the matter and he's not seeing any other options. So he's going to feel good between those two choices, chances are. All right, so moving on, talking more specifically, and we're almost done. Another way you can prevent behaviors is by looking at your child's daily schedule. So by looking at your daily schedule in detail, you can see if there are some changes you can make that will help the day go more smoothly. If your family is like most, there are certain times or activities each day where the child has difficulty. So I want you to think about a typical day for your child so you can get an idea of where the trouble spots are. So, you know, starting from when he wakes up or she wakes up until right before going to bed. So, you know, you can if you're thinking about having issues, oh, I have most of my issues in the morning, during the morning routine, then, you know, maybe you may want to make iPad time in the morning contingent on getting dressed and eating breakfast. Sometimes families don't have established routines for getting the child ready for school in the morning or for getting to bed at night. A schedule for these daily events can help the child know what to expect. So we can all by itself improve compliance with these activities. So always keep in mind that when setting up a routine, you have to make sure you place enjoyable activities after demanding ones. So, you know, selecting the bedtime story after the child is ready for bed. Many children with autism have difficulty with transitions and unexpected changes in the routines. As a result, parents try to keep the daily schedule as consistent as possible to avoid meltdowns. When changes in routine happen, some parents wait until the last minute to tell the child because they worry about the child's reaction. One way to help children with autism manage their daily schedule or cope with unexpected changes in the routine is to use a visual schedule. The visual schedule is going to help establish a usual routine, but also shows you to inform the child it allows you to show your child of an upcoming change in the routine. You can see on this particular schedule that the child has different activities for the day. The picture schedule, it tells the child what comes next, but also helps direct the child to the given activity. It promotes a sense of stability and predictability, which increases comfort, flexibility, and independence. I'm going to talk about, you know, how to set it up, or maybe I can skip how to do this and you can just watch the video, or I can just tell you, let me just have you watch the videos. Basically what these steps are have to do with placing the schedule in a central place in the home. This is important because you're always going to have your child check the schedule. Once he learns how to do it independently, he's going to do that. Review the schedule and encourage your child to pick the first visual, if you're using a visual schedule, and then go and do that activity and then put it away out of the schedule. And you're going to see this in this video that's coming up. So this video is gonna basically show you all these steps in action, and is not a long video, but I think it's important. Some parents have never really seen an appropriate way of using a schedule. Oops. So let's do that quickly.
Okay, you're all done brushing your teeth. Put it in the bag. Very good. Now what do we have to do? Put on coat, okay? So let's go. Take it. All right, let's go put on your coat. Come on, let's go. Good, you put on your coat. Let's put that in the bag. All right, what's next? Put on backpack, okay? Let's go.
Okay. So obviously, this mom is really teaching her son, and she's using hand over hand. Maybe this is the first time. She wants to make sure there's no errors, so she's just being very specific. But this is just one format that you can use a schedule. You can do different variations. I'm not going to get into details about this, but you can use objects or use pictures or photos. You can use icons like the ones I showed you earlier in the previous, or like the mom was using. You can make a list if your child already is reading, and then put check boxes next to them, and then the child can just check off every time they're done with something on the list. So once you choose the format, you need to decide whether you want to target a specific time of the day that is difficult for your child, such as the morning routine, or create a visual schedule for the entire day. Another thing to consider is how many tasks you're going to include. If you're only going to do the morning routine, then you know how many tasks you're going to have in there. Where are you going to put the schedule? So where the location of the schedule, to have it a place for your child to deposit the visuals if he's using a visual schedule. So all of these are things to consider. Let's see. Let's just continue because I want to, let's see. So many parents ask if they will have to use prevention strategies forever. And the answer is no. Our goal is really to prevent major behavior problems and to cultivate opportunities to teach your child other more useful behaviors. Once these new behaviors are learned, we may not need to rely on the prevention techniques all the time. And I also encourage you, if your child is working with an ABA therapist, you know, consult with them. Maybe they're using a visual schedule in their clinic, or when they go at home, excuse me. One of the things that I forgot to mention, but I figured you saw in the video, I also always recommend that you laminate these. If you're using visual schedules, is to laminate and put Velcro, because that way you can keep using them and prevent the damage from overuse. So one last thing I wanted to talk to you very quickly of a SPARK, which is a study that we're involved right now, where we're trying to understand causes of autism and you know, any genetic and information that we can gather. So the way that you can do so is you can visit, and all this information is in our website, but you can also go to sparkforautism.org /card to register. It's a very easy way that you can participate. They'll send you a kit home and you can collect they tell you how to collect the sample. All right, so before we start the Q&A, I want you to look at the, if you have a phone with you, you can scan the QR code right there, that square black and white thing. Or if you click on the chat, I also included the link for you to access and complete the survey. So with that, it's only 4 questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to